And welcome back aboard Blurred Forest One with your boy Mo and your girl Polly. And this is the Supercast. The Supercast, where we talk about all things superhero and our pop culture media. That's, of course, movies, TV shows, video games. We talk about the news, do some speculation, all of that good nerdy stuff. And before we get into the podcast today, the live stream today, you know what to do. Get down there and hit like on the video. So, hey, superhero summer is winding down. In fact, what is it? It's August 30th is tomorrow. I suppose you could say,
fall.
Yeah, it's fall is technically starting in about 2 weeks. I think mid-September is when it counts. So superhero summer is coming to an end. But that doesn't mean we don't have plenty of stuff to talk about because Peacemaker is running. Peacemaker episode 2 actually just dropped yesterday, and today, in fact, about an hour ago, the Comic Shop, the independent comedy series about Blurge running a comic book shop, did premiere on YouTube, and I got to participate in kind of the official live threading. Probably moving on up in the world. Cheyenne Ewulu, reached out to some of us that have been kind of hyping the show up. And was like, hey, you want to be a part of the official thing? I was like, heck yeah. Why? Of course, I was going to do it anyway. I may as well put your stamp of approval on it. So, we're kind of attached to it. And I will like to report, I'm not going to bury the lead. The show's great. The first episode was I really loved it. I want to talk about it more toward the end of the show. So, before then, Polly, I've been talking a lot. Sorry. How are you doing today? It's good to see you back on the show.
Good.
How is
so
let Dr. Doom know that we are respecting his name. I know in Latveria it's very important to pay respect to Emperor Doom. Is he the Emperor still? I feel like the comics that's not true anymore.
He's the Sorcerer Supreme. I think he's an emperor, yeah.
Oh, they let him. Okay, One World Under Doom made me feel like they were going to take it all away from him. Even though he's doing all the good stuff.
Yeah, they definitely trying to. Wow, they trying to mess with his thing. Of course, it's just natural.
Well, how you doing? What you been up to? That's nerdy.
Well, yeah, I was not nerding on a budget. But I have some cool guests.
Hey, I know that. I know that.
Yeah, you definitely do. You're too mad already. So yeah,
it's good old Herbie. Hey, look,
shiny?
Hey, you guys want to see that? You want to see his twin? Oh my gosh, I got the twin. What? Look at him.
Oh,
I wonder where that come from.
Yes.
That's no.
Ain't no food is ever going into this robot.
No, I remember because I was at the premiere of Fantastic Four. I did not, and y'all heard about this, but if you missed that episode, well, I was there. They had 0 Galactus popcorn buckets, but they had plenty of Herbies. And I jumped in Discord while I was in line, and I was like, and I think I had bought mine, and I was like, let me get on Discord and see. And I was like, Polly, do you want me to buy this? Do you want me to buy this, and I'll send it to you? And you were like, hell yeah! So yeah. And it's taken a while for it to get there because
it was actually really quick.
Well, I mean, it took me a while because I wanted to see if I could ship it, and the people are like, "Oh, this will be $1,000 to." And I was like, in what fucking world is it $1,000 to send this shit? It's because the UPS and DHL and all that are these private shipping things are full of shit. They want to charge a premium. So, but I went through the good old United States Postal Service. It didn't cost. I think it was like $90, something like that. So, I mean, look, you paid a premium for Herbie, but you know what? I feel like you feel like it's worth it. So I love that.
Yeah,
I love it. I'm glad I was part of helping you, because y'all didn't get those, right? Those weren't.
Yeah, we don't have AMC theaters at all here, and I don't know if they have them in Europe even.
Yeah.
So we didn't get those buckets.
So that's dope. You're the only person in Serbia that has one of those.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Any other things you were up to?
Well, mostly just, watching. I'm watching Buffy.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
very
yeah.
important thing to me.
Oh yeah,
And
because
yeah,
they're doing a sequel series. Um,
yeah, they're doing like they're calling it a reboot. It seems like it's a sequel
mhm,
because it has a new Slayer. It has like everything, new Sunnydale or stuff like that. Kind of feels like it's gonna take some inspiration from the book series
mhm,
In Every Generation by Kendra Blake. But also, there is going to be a new comic book series
mhm.
in Dynamite Comics, because before that, Buffy was at Boom, and Boom Studios, well, they kind of like fucked it up. They, yeah, they went a little bit too, I don't know. They tried to do too much too fast, and it didn't quite work out. So they
Right,
had Buffy and Angel Comics, and now Buffy and Angel Comics are going to be at Dynamite, and
right.
we're going to see what's going to happen, because they have God, I forgot what the writer. I think it was Kelly Thompson.
Mhm.
Um, is going to write the series, and well, we're going to see.
Okay.
But
Not he who
pretty
must
much,
not be
yeah.
named, but that
Mhm.
and I noticed like I'm not in really into Buffy, but I saw that little, and this was like probably a month ago, that little video they did of Sarah Michelle Gellar. Is Sarah Michelle Gellar? Yeah,
Yeah,
getting in, getting, working out for it,
training, yeah.
and the young
Mm.
lady who was in the Star Wars, the
Skeleton Crew,
Skeleton Crew,
yeah.
getting into there too. So I guess she's the young Slayer. Which my
She is, yes, she's been cast as the new Slayer.
right, now I'm not into the show, but I seem to think that every time they get kind of a newish young Slayer, that's always a ripe like area for storytelling, because the other Slayers have to kind of show her the ropes, or like, because Buffy, didn't she basically, there wasn't another Slayer, she just had the guy,
She
the
was
British
the
guy.
only one.
Yeah, she had the British
Well,
guy kind of
technically,
telling
the
her.
Slayer Giles, yeah. The Slayer is usually one girl in all the world.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, the whole premise. And then, of course, Buffy died and came back to life, and another Slayer was called. Then Kendra died, and Faith was called. And for some time there was two Slayers. But then, of course, in the Buffy finale, if anyone hasn't seen it,
I haven't seen
please
it.
go watch it. It's a great show. But in the Buffy finale, they kind of did some magic and made every potential Slayer a Slayer. So now, technically, there is like about 2,000 Slayers in the world.
Wow.
So, and nobody knows exactly how it's supposed to work after that, because before that, one Slayer died, another was called, and now it's well, nobody knows. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna go with something similar to the what was happening in Every Generation, which is, I mean, an amazing book also for all Buffy fans. So we're gonna see. I'm very excited about that.
That sounds cool. It's it sounds like they're just like, if we just want, it's like X-Men. They just made more. They just made mutants as
Yeah.
needed, pretty much. Well, that's cool.
Mhm.
By the way, what's up, Joe? Joe, Muscles and Multiverse.
Oh,
I'm thanks
hi,
for,
Joe.
yeah. Hey, thanks for showing up. We're gonna talk about some nerd stuff. Before we do that, I have to do my nerding this week.
Oh,
I've
no,
got I did,
yeah.
my nerding this week. I'm trying so hard to get through so much. So Upload season 4, the final season, released this week.
I watched that.
I have not watched Upload yet. I didn't even remember that it came out earlier in the week, so I got to go through that. The Ianu prequel movie comes out tomorrow, so that's Ianu prequel movie is coming out tomorrow. Uh, Twisted Metal, the final 3 episodes of season 2, released yesterday. I've got to watch that. I haven't watched Alien Earth. There's so much happening right now. I'm like, I'm a bit overwhelmed. I'm gonna try to get do as much as I can. And I was also like, I went to the beach yesterday, so I'm behind because I was, relaxing. But
Kenny.
that does just because I was relaxing doesn't mean I didn't go and do some nerding on a budget. I know y'all know what I'm about. Good deals are always gonna attract me. Even though I ain't got no money right now, I'm still gonna make sure I buy shit because I got two movies and I got them used off of Amazon because I can't find them locally. So I'm completing my Infinity Saga. So I got Thor: The Dark World, which will sit on the shelf and collect dust. But I got it. Which I think I paid like $7 for that, and also $7 for this Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I have Iron Man and the first Thor. They are on their way. So Infinity Saga is about to be complete. So both of those for $7 each. But when I came back into town from going to the beach, and I stopped at one of my local discount retailers, the ones I keep telling y'all about that you guys got to check out. Now, you don't have them. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, in Serbia, these don't exist. But in America, we have these stores called Ross, or Burlington Coat Factory, or Marshalls, or whatever, TJ Maxx. For the most part, most of those aren't that very good until around Christmas. But one of my local Rosses, they had the hookup. And I happened to be on that side of town, and I stopped in, and I found these. So, the Black Series, Cassian Andor. Everyone's talking about Andor and how dope it is. This was $6, right? I got $6 for this figure. He ain't coming out this box, by the way. He's not coming out. He's gonna stay in there. But here's the real deal. And shout out to Snick Bamp Thwip. Yes, your name is hard to say. Please do not change your name. I love that. And this is for him and for all of y'all that really like Marvel Legends action figures. Look what I found. $6 for this. Who is this? That's my girl. It's my girl, Namorita. Not
there is the question I asked.
Namorita. I never say that right.
If you pronounce Namor or Namor, but
Namor.
Namora and Namorita. How do you pronounce?
Look,
should you be Namorita?
Look. Let's just say Namorita. Well, whatever it is, of the New Warriors. She's a clone or something like that, but she's in the New Warriors. And this is from a Build-A-Figure thing. So this is to build the Void. Now, mind you, I'm never going to complete this Build-A-Figure. You know why? Because one of the figures that you need is Squadron Supreme Power Princess. That is over $100 for that figure. So unless they get it at Raw, if you look on Amazon, it's over $100 to get that figure. So I probably will never complete this. However, this was $6. I snapped, and when I went to get this, another guy was scoping out all the toys too in the toy section, and I snatched this up before he even saw it. That's
good. Gotta be fast.
Yeah, you have to. You got to. And I asked the guy that worked there.
You want to nerd on the budget? You gotta get.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying elbowing somebody, but you might have to. I don't know. Here's the other one.
Yeah, you might have to kick him.
Now, mind you, I just thought, I'll just get the Cassian Andor. Then I found that one. Here's the one that I was just like, fuck yeah, and I snatched this so fast. Look at my boy.
Ooh.
Look at him. It's
that is so cool.
Look, $6. Again, never coming out of the box. But I got a dope Marvel Legend. So it is so nice. This is such a nice figure. I don't want to even freaking take it out the box.
Those shells, they whenever he posts the shells.
I love them. Every
time I wanna go and buy all the Marvel Legends figures, but we don't have any, so I'm safe.
They are, and they actually had the Invincible Iron Man. The one I already had it, so they had a bunch of them, and I was almost gonna buy a bunch and just maybe give them away or something like that because they were $6. I don't know. To be honest, I might do that in the future as just kind of a, hey, subscribe to the channel and maybe you'll get a Marvel Legends figure,
Mm-hmm.
because I can find them, especially around Christmas. They're fairly cheap, but $6 per uh, figure, that's great. So anyway, we're not gonna stay on this for too much longer, because we have a show to go on with, because Polly's got to talk about her comics. We got a segment. I might make it as an official
Oh
segment,
yeah,
y'all. So it's called Polly Has Issues. Polly talks about
and
all
it's true.
the comics that she's into right now, new and older stuff, because uh, Polly reads a lot of comics, so we want to see what issues Polly has this week. So, Polly, what you were talking about this week?
Well, actually, this week has been a little slow with the comics because I keep reading Moon Knight and it's getting better and better. And aside from that, I only got to read Imperial, and because there were two issues that came out this week. Imperial, God, was it? Black Panther or like War of Wakanda, something like that. Because Black Panther is, of course, an essential character in the whole Imperial arc. And the other one was She-Hulk. Now, the first one, Black Panther, it was kind of a mixed bag. It's still like a lot going on, and kind of everyone blames Wakanda, the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, for murdering all those people,
What?
rulers.
Uh,
Yeah, that's
I've
kind of a bit of a spoiler.
clearly I've missed a lot of things that have been happening. I knew about the intergalactic
Yeah,
empire, but I missed a lot.
yeah. Now everybody's blaming T'Challa, and he's looking for Shuri. So, kind of the issue was kind of an introductory one,
Mm-hmm.
I think, because there is no clear arc yet. But She-Hulk, though, this was a really, really good issue that I liked because she came to this the Sakaar planet, which already has been established in the Imperial arc, and we pretty much everybody who's reading the event, they know what's going on there. But this was kind of like a little whodunit story,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which didn't have any consequences or like wasn't that important. It just was fun and kind of a good reminder of what kind of character She-Hulk is.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty fun. And of course, Moon Knight, I didn't like, I just talked about it a little bit. This run, it is God, it's I don't remember, Benson and
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Heston. Yeah, uh, this just keeps getting better and better because the whole concept of like insanity is introduced, and Moon Knight is going like off the rails. He's not murdering people, but he's walking around like carving moons into people's
Yeah,
foreheads,
I
and
remember
all
this
of
one.
that he's doing, yeah, while being a registered superhero, because he kind of
Yeah,
like did some manipulations, made some manipulations, and got himself a license. And he's a registered hero. He's walking around. He's carving moons into people's foreheads, which like bad people, of course. So he's kind of in the right there, but still,
right.
it's pretty violent. And not only I love the fact that he doesn't only do it once, but for repeat offenders, he does it several times. So they kind of walk around with marks on the heads. But then again, you can see right away who's before you. That's pretty cool. And well, this obviously creates some tension with Tony Stark, who is a champion in the Registration Act.
Mm-hmm.
So that arc is pretty interesting. It's going well, and I can't wait to finish it because, like, I just want to find out how it ends. So that's pretty much all I read this week. Haven't had the time to read like more X-Men yet, but I'll keep you posted.
Awesome. Well, Polly has issues, and those issues actually sound good. I remember that time for
Moon Knight.
on Moon Knight, definitely, because that's like post Civil War. That's
Yeah.
such an interesting era in the Marvel Comics universe, and that's the like that era was the last time I was really super into like reading the comic books on a regular basis. But Moon Knight, I remember, was very much one of those ones that where people are like, oh, they're cooking, they're really cooking for real. So that's cool. You guys go check that out. You can check all that stuff out on Marvel Unlimited. Even
Marvel Unlimited. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Imperial probably not yet
Imperial
because
is not,
it's
not
new.
yet.
But you can check that other stuff out there. So we're gonna talk about some news, y'all. Our news is not a lot this week. It's a kind of a small, it's a slow week. We're in between things right now. Peacemaker obviously is coming out, but we did see some interesting things. Like Kumail Nanjiani talks about, the effects of Eternals not doing so well. How he kind of took that. Let's say not great. Chris Columbus, he also, first of all, I didn't even know this, but he got fired from Fantastic Four. What did he get fired for? And what?
How do you get fired from Fantastic Four?
Well,
they didn't even fire Reed.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna find out why he got fired, and let's speculate about what a Chris Columbus Fantastic Four might have looked like. It's the 5th anniversary of Chadwick Boseman's passing, and we're gonna just remember the man, the myth, the legend, and what he meant to us as comic book fans. Then we're going to review the Comic Shop episode 1 and Peacemaker season 2 episode 2. So this should be a good time. And also, if you have any questions, we will answer them as we can. So before we jump in there, I'm going to say Muscle in the Universe, aka Joe, says, Polly, you should charge people to take pictures with your Herbie. I think that's, hey, you can recoup the cost of getting that from America to you. You could do that.
That's my backup plan. That's my new startup I'm starting.
Go find your local nerds and be like, you don't got this. You could also
look at what I got.
Sit him on top of a Roomba. I'm pretty sure that would, he'd be like a real Herbie.
Oh,
you're welcome.
I'm definitely gonna do that.
That was a freebie. You go ahead, take that. Go, take him, put him on the Roomba, and move him around. Like, I would say put him.
Oh, the cat's gonna get crazy.
I would say put him on a drone. I don't know if a drone can support that weight, but you could try. You see. So anyway, we're gonna jump into the news right now. So Chris Columbus was fired from Fantastic Four. Here's my question. What? I don't even remember that he was hired. Now, it could be that 20 years ago, I just wasn't paying any kind of damn attention to who was making these things, how they made it happen or whatever. I wasn't as into this stuff as I am now. So that's probably why I didn't know that. But apparently he got fired from it. Let me see if I have it exactly. For having too much of an opinion. So this was with Fox. Yeah. This was with Fox, y'all.
This sounds like Fox.
Yeah. It's what. First of all, Chris Columbus I like him as a director. Just because I think he like the first 2 Harry Potters. I like them. I think they're really good. Are they the most amazing in the series? I don't think so, but as a translation of the story, the books into a movie, I think they're really good. I think he had a good eye for it, and really makes Harry Potter like jump from the page onto the screen. Also, he directed both of the Home Alones. You'll be a goat forever to me. I love Home Alone 1 and 2. I saw them as a kid, and I have never not liked Home Alone 1 and 2. I think they're great. And he's done other things, obviously, and he has a production company that that does some pretty good work. I just like, how you gonna fire Chris Columbus? And the reasoning is stupid as hell. It's essentially. It's not just that he had too much opinion. He was basically like, let's make this more like the damn comics, like Jack Kirby and Stan Lee sort of intended. He got fired for being like, this isn't comic booky enough. We should try harder to make it more like the comic books. And that is wild to me because here we are.
Basically, he got fired for what we got.
For 20 something years later, we get the most comic booky Fantastic Four, honoring the comic books for real, and they're the best out of the bunch. But the ones we remember, the ones with Chris Evans as Johnny Storm and Jessica Alba, and people clowned the Rise of the Silver Surfer because Galactus was trash and everything. And this was a guy trying to steer them away from that bullshit, and they got rid of him. That's wild to me. I don't know. This Hollywood's weird.
But that's also probably one of the reasons, Fox ended up being bought out by Disney.
Yeah,
look at where they are now.
Well, I mean, Fox being bought out by, they weren't mismanaged, but they definitely mismanaged their Marvel shit. Like, they really mismanaged it. Because no one looks back on those Fantastic Four movies with real reverence. And there are kids that grew up watching, that was their Fantastic Four, right?
I would disagree here because, obviously, there are a lot of people these days, of course, after the new Fantastic Four came out, and I'm pointing over there because I still have the poster over there. But anyway, after this movie came out, a lot of people suddenly found themselves being the biggest fans of the original, not the original, but the 2004 Fantastic Four. Of course,
it's not real.
Yeah.
If I interrupt real quick.
But to say that those movies don't have fans,
I'm sure.
True. Well, actually,
I'm sure they do.
Hated. They weren't really overhated. They were hated just enough, but they also weren't terrible. They were okay. They weren't great. They were okay, and for the general audience, they probably
for the time.
Fine.
For the time. Yeah, if you think about Joe said he was fired because he's a colonizer. I like that.
Wrong Columbus.
The other Columbus is being featured by PragerU, telling people that slavery is not so bad. So this is the good Chris Columbus. Even though it's I get it. But he has his thing is called 1492 Production. I'm like, that's not a good look. Not a good look in these days. I'm just saying. But no, those movies are fine. Have you ever heard what they call it, a Kansas City 10 is like a Kansas City 10 is like an LA 5 or 6 or whatever. That's what I feel like for the time. 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. Now those are 5s. Like, those movies aren't relative to the shit we've gotten since. Not so amazing. And I'm not saying Chris Columbus would have made it 10 out of 10. I'm not saying that if Chris Columbus had directed or hadn't been fired, Rise of the Silver Surfer would have been like Spider-Man 2 or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But the idea that he literally was just like, we should be more like Silver Age Marvel and honor like the original, and then he gets fired on the way home. It's great. It's crazy to me. I guess in hindsight,
even get home. That's ridiculous.
In hindsight, we're looking back and like, that's a stupid ass move. But we get to see, years later, at Fox, they were just kind of doing whatever, But we should have known, because they let Bryan Singer roll up in there and be like, no, we're not gonna look at the comic books to reference this. Don't look at the comic books to figure out your, how you're gonna play your character. That was the standard bearer for the Fox Marvel stuff. So and that's also a time when everyone's like, oh, that was what I called the graphic novel era of comic books. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, when it's not cool to say I read comics, so I read graphic novels. Now, I could just imagine people with like putting on like a black beret and like the little French cigarette thing, and they're just like, their little coffee while they're reading their graphic novels. It's just to seem cooler than you. Like that was before nerding. Being a nerd was like culturally cool, and you could talk about liking superheroes without people, wanting to wedgie you and give you a swirly. Um, so people wanted to act like they were too cool for school. So they're set up here trying to make Fantastic Four, you know, cooler, or I don't even want to say cooler, but uh, you know, more real or whatever the fuck. It's this thing about a woman that can turn invisible, a dude that stretches, a rock guy, and a guy that turns into fire. It's shit made for like 10-year-old boys. It is. And it can be elevated, but like let's not forget where the fuck this is from. It's weird that they want to make a comic book movie that wasn't comic booky. And it's like
That's how we ended up with Fantastic.
yeah, and I ain't gonna jump into that one. I know, but like at least I know where Josh Trank was coming from. At least I understand I understand he read Ultimate Fantastic Four and was like, I can make that a thing. I
No,
get
you
that.
can't.
I,
And then he couldn't.
yeah, I mean, anyway, that's just weird. Anyway, I hope I actually really do hope Chris Columbus gets to get in on a really true comic booky sort of thing. Because like I said, I feel like he has such a reverence for the source material that he won't shy away from the comic book aspect. I want to see that.
I'd definitely like him to do something fairy tale-ish, because a lot of like quite often, and this was the issue I had with the Golden Compass, the show, not the movie, because the movie was just
I like the
okay,
show.
but
I like
the show I kind of like had very different vibe when I was reading the books. It seemed a little bit more fairy tale-ish, and the show didn't really deliver on that part.
I like the show. I think the thing about the show is I think it took the tone of the third book as opposed to the first.
Yeah.
The first book is a little bit more like it's a little
Like
more
the movie.
adventure. It's more of an adventure-ish, a dark kid adventure thing. And the third book is like heavy as hell. So and it kind of
Yeah, but the whole world, where the things were, like the events were unfolding, the first one, the original world of the book, it's kind of like, to me, when I read the book, the world seemed a little more fairy tale-ish, and they made it like a little more dark steampunk, and that just
yeah, no, I get it.
Kind of disappointed me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I did like the show. I think it as a representation of the books, I think it did pretty good. But I get what you're saying about the tone. I also, before we move on, shout out to Chris Columbus and obviously this hurts him not a bit to be being an ally in words usually doesn't cost you much. And Chris Columbus is a well-established person in Hollywood with a production company. He's rich. He's fine. So this does nothing to him, but still, thank you for speaking up about J.K. Rowling and her foolishness. He did, say like, that doesn't. I don't think that represents what the stories were originally about. He distanced himself from it. So shout out for him, because J.K. Rowling sucks and we don't like her. So anyway, next. I mentioned this earlier, Kumail Nanjiani talking about his struggle, is struggling with the failure of the Eternals. I like the Eternals. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, same.
I think people in hindsight are looking at it with, a lot more favorable outlooks. At the time, it got dragged. Let's call it got dragged. And also, mind you, it made about $400 million at the box office as one of the first, post Endgame movies. Had a lot of hype. Did not deliver the way they wanted to. And I will note, it probably would have made more than 400 if it hadn't also been simultaneously on Disney Plus. So that being said, Kumail Nanjiani talked about how he had to go to therapy to deal with his disappointment with the movie. Not because just it didn't do well and people were trashing it and stuff. Again, 400 million, it made more than Black Adam. Just saying, it made more than Thunderbolts. It made more, you know what I'm saying? But it didn't do well. It had this large sprawling cast. They thought they had something great. People didn't receive it as well. People, as usual, because nerds online are fucking awful,
evil,
gave him and a lot of other people shit about the movie and everything. And even as an actor, that stuff does bother you, and on some level. But more importantly, the disappointment he felt was because he signed on for 6 movies, or 6 appearances at least, and a video game apparently, which speaks to a problem at Marvel that we've heard about before, but we don't really think about it, which is they sign people on with the promise like, hey, you're going to be a part of this universe, you're going to get a check, right? You're going to get a check, and we got you. This is the biggest franchise in history. If you come in here, it's automatic, like, big payday. Which is not true. It isn't. It's not real. What you're actually doing is you're signing up. When they sign these long contracts, what they're really signing up for is if we decide to use, not when, if we decide to use you, you have to come in. You gotta schedule us, put us in your schedule, and show up and act, right? And instead, he read it as, oh shit, I'm gonna be doing this for 10 years. I'm about to get paid. I'm good. But then Eternals flops, or sort of, it doesn't do as well as it should, and Marvel decides not to do a fuck thing with them. And I understand. Look, you think you're about to like buy a mansion, and instead you still got to rent that little 2-bedroom apartment out in the Hollywood Hills because the Marvel money ain't rolling in. He's going to apparently talk about this on his next comedy special. But he was, he's like, I had to go to therapy for this, and I would not be surprised if other Marvel, like, probably not Harry Styles, because we knew Star Fox wasn't gonna be shit, right? You knew when you saw him, you knew it wasn't gonna be anything, right? We know probably not. Who was it that played Puck? Was it Patton Oswalt? Who the fuck was it that was gonna be Puck? You remember? I forget who the hell that was, and then Brett Goldstein as Hercules. They ain't never gonna go nowhere. We know that. As soon as we saw that people didn't like Love and Thunder that much, I was like, well, y'all wasted Brett Goldstein. No, what a waste of a perfectly good actor. What
about Hulk with the word hairline?
What? Say it again. Oh, who was this?
Hulk's son with the word hairline.
Scar and his terrible haircut. I
think we're gonna see him.
Yeah, if they see it, I hope that we see him in a barber chair. Cut that down hair. That chair is trash. Whoever was that? You know what? I think whoever did that CG at whatever whoever did the CG for that, they knew they were getting fired. They're like, I ain't working again. So this is the bullshit y'all.
Maybe they already got fired, and that was like a revenge thing.
Yeah, I mean, good God, that's the worst. That's worse than Hawkeye's hair. I remember Hawkeye in Endgame when he was Ronin. Worse than his hair. This is wild.
I don't think that's the worst hair ever.
I mean,
that's worse.
Yeah. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to say, like, that sucks it sucks for him. It just does. It's not even want to say fair, but like, there's this illusion in Hollywood that all Marvel money is good money, and that shit's just not true.
I mean, Sony proved it wrong.
Oh yeah, but that's Sony. They were fucking up their movies for like the better part of a decade. You know, we've been pretty sure that they were gonna run the Spider-Man franchise into the ground. Like as soon as they said, "Hey, Spider-Man's come to the MCU," we were like, "Whew, thank God, somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing has control of Spider-Man." You know, the worst thing. I'm not kidding. The worst thing I could hear from in the entertainment industry is Sony's doing a Spider-Man movie. I'm just like,
Well, they've been doing pretty well with Spider-Man. They don't do that well without him.
yeah. I mean, like I like the Amazing Spider-Man, so I'm not gonna trash on them too much, and of course the Spider-Verse movies, but like I have no confidence in them. But like I said, all Marvel money ain't good money, and all Marvel promises, y'all should. We've been known that they are not trustworthy, and as much as I like Marvel, they're not trustworthy. You know that we know that their contracts because they're Disney. Disney pretty much their contracts are they're not trying to make fair contracts. They're not trying to make optimal contracts for themselves. So as a actor, you got to know that. That's why I think the smartest people that like work with Disney do a one and done. They get that check and get out of here, right? Christian Bale, he got his money. He did that Gore. He didn't give a fuck if it was good or not. It didn't matter. Cut my check. I'm out of here, right? Even Kate Blanchett, same thing, right? These guys, they're the smart ones. The one like the I don't want to say dummies, but the ones who get swindled are the ones that think that they're about to like ride the gravy train forever. I feel bad for him though. I like Kumail Nanjiani. I liked Kingo. I hate that they're not doing more with him. Uh, oh, let's see. Joe says Marvel has wasted so many good actors. Amelia Clark, Brett Goldstein, Kit Harington. Whew. Yep. He said. Then he says that the day Sony does a Spider-Man movie, hell no. You know what? I'm not going to turn this into
Nobody's got any faith in Sony anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to turn this into a shit on Sony thing, but I do want to shout out Kenny Sparks for really kind of underscoring the peak comic book output that that Sony has been doing with his polls. Y'all saw the polls that he's talking about best.
Yeah.
I want to note that Sony was well represented within those best characters and best movies things. But I think this just reminds it. Like obviously actors are people, but a lot of their lives are hinging on these things, right? A lot of what's going on with their lives, and not just look. He's not poor. I'm not saying that. But my daughter, she acts. She does plays and stuff, and keeping your feelings out of how people receive your shit is hard. It's hard. It's really hard. Keeping your feelings out of that and your self-worth out of that is really hard because you have to be both above it, but you're also there for the adulation. So when you get these promises and they fall through, it's got to be tough. So, but we'll see. I actually want to see this special and see exactly what he's talking about. But also, like, hopefully, over at DC, there's plenty of space for that. So we'll see. And we'll talk about it more when we get more information. Let's talk about our king. Rest in peace to our king, Chadwick Boseman. Everyone, the Black Panther. I know there's a lot of people talking about like we should recast T'Challa. Yeah, but Chadwick Boseman was that guy, right? It's been 5 years. It's so wild to know that 5 years have passed since Chadwick Boseman died of okay, y'all let me pause for a second. I don't know why, but for some reason I have no For some reason, I have no video, and I don't know why. Y'all, give me just a second while I figure out what's going on here. Mm.
Okay, what happened?
Okay. Yeah. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Sorry about. I don't know what the heck happened. Discord just blanked. I don't know. It messed the call up. Discord, you are not going to be getting a good. When they ask like how was the call quality, trash. That's what you're going to get. What's up to Claude,
1 star.
aka Curly Insane Guy? Glad to see you in. As
Hey.
I feel I don't want to go back and redo that, so I'm just going to say. Uh, we're remembering Chadwick Boseman. It's been 5 years since he passed away. I can't believe it's been 5 years.
Yeah, it seems like
Yeah, it seems like yesterday. You
quarter.
know,
Yeah.
it really does. But I remember kind of waking up to this. Well, I don't want to say waking up, but being online and getting that information and just being like, what the, no way, right? Um,
I think I actually read it when I woke up.
Yeah, I mean, because it was in the middle of the day. Was it the middle of the day here? I don't even remember exactly. I probably could go back and look at my tweets or whatever, or even go back because I was on this podcast was running at the time, or was it? No, it was not running at the time. So because this was like, gosh, 2020. Like it's wild that it's been 5 years, but very unexpectedly. Um, Even though in retrospect I look back on it, because I was following the movie and TV news a lot at the time, so I was just like, I remember seeing Chadwick Boseman maybe a few months before, and I was like, he's looking real slim, like because you remember he got real bulked up for Black Panther, but I was like, he's looking real slim, and I remember I saw him in that what was it 21 blocks or something like that. I saw him in that, and I was like, wow, I don't know why he's lost so much weight. Like he looked slim, but I didn't think too much of it. And we find out that he had cancer, stage 4 cancer, and lost the battle. Um, and every year since then, and I'm not ashamed of this. Every year on the anniversary of his death, I talk about it on the show, and I don't think I'll ever stop doing that. The the loss of Chadwick Boseman, it's hard to say for somebody I don't actually know and never actually knew in real life, only knew of his work. It's weird because it still is a painful kind of loss for me personally as a comic book fan, as a fan of his movies and his work, and then just getting to know more about him, after the fact. So I'm not gonna go too much further into it, but without letting you, kind of chime in here. But how, just what do you feel about this now on the 5th anniversary of his death?
Same, pretty much same. It's always been kind of one of those deaths that hit hard and still not getting easier. But well, we do have a great collection of movies to watch to remember him by.
Yeah, and it's way too soon. It's too soon. Like, look, I'm 45, right? What is happening? Why does why does this keep doing this? y'all, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can figure out why this is happening. Why is this doing this? I, y'all, I'm trying so hard to figure out why it's doing this.
Something freaky is going on.
Yeah, Discord doesn't want it. Discord doesn't want us to honor our king, and I am not with that.
Mhm.
Sorry, guys. Again, it's being weird. Um, Joe said, and by the way, shout out to Joe. I wanted to, because we're talking about this. You guys don't necessarily know this, but I do because I've talked with him doing the other podcast, the Marvel Infinity Rewatch podcast. Um, one of the ones that Joe asked to do was Black Panther because, as he told me, that's the movie that got him into the Marvel
Oh yeah,
and the MCU.
that's one of my favorite comics nerd stories, by the way.
He it literally Black Panther got Joe into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's what got him into comics. So
That's
I just
like
want like
the best thing a movie can do.
yeah, absolutely. Because like Black Panther's just it's amazing. Um, it's and especially the way it gives weight. I think that more than any other movie in the MCU, and I mean we can debate this, but I think more than any other movie in the MCU, it adds weight to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It adds historical weight because there's this secret kingdom that's actually like a super important nation on the earth that once you introduce it, it's like when you introduce Asgard or introduce introduce the Eternals, but there's so much more history and weight to the MCU because of the movie, and Chadwick Boseman is like just he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal as in his uh is playing T'Challa in both Civil War and then in this movie, and then of course Infinity War and Endgame. It's like he's just great, and more importantly, because the MCU was going hard at the time, so many kids suddenly saw Black Panther and just attached to him. So many kids. This is a bit of a funny aside, but I was watching Abbott Elementary, and in the most recent season, they have this is a black inner city school, but they have a white student in Janine's class, and he comes to Halloween as Black Panther. And he's like Wakanda forever. And it's a funny joke, but it's real. The thing is that it's real. Chadwick Boseman really did get kids of all colors, all ethnicity across the world. This was $1 billion film, right? $1.3 billion, and they really love Black Panther. They want to be Black Panther. They want to dress up as Black Panther. So while I thought it was a funny joke, it was also a reflection of the fact that Chadwick Boseman, his portrayal of T'Challa, really resonated across the world with kids, which is, as we always say, comic books have got to get kids into them, right? They've got to. There's no way 45-year-old people are going to sustain comic books, so you got to get them in there somehow. And I think he did a lot to there. I mean, we could go on. I loved him in 42. I think it was really, really good. And I liked him in Get On Up. I think he just gone way too soon. Joe says that opening of Wakanda Forever. Yeah, he was there, even though he wasn't there. It's like his spirit was there.
That movie really did such an incredible job done there of like remembering him and honoring him.
Yeah, and that's why I say the recast of T'Challa. I get it, and I'm not even opposed to the idea of recasting T'Challa in general, but like also, it's just kind of one of those things where like, can anybody be Superman better than Chris Reeve? I mean, yeah, maybe, but like, also, if they never did another recasting, he's kind of that guy, and nobody's gonna be T'Challa like Chadwick Boseman was, but the character is a character that needs to continue. So I mean, it's like a hard, like I don't bump
I
up
mean, they
against it
kind
that
of
much.
got a resolution for that. Hmm.
That
Would be
they're gonna retcon with, you know, Secret Wars.
with
Probably, actually, I think what's actually going to happen is
probably, yeah.
they're going to age up. What they're probably going to do is to
Hmm.
reconcile it is they will age up T'Challa Jr. So
Well,
probably,
maybe they will age him up like to the same age as Storm's gonna be.
yeah.
That would be nice.
Last thing Joe said was he says it was different than any superhero movie that I saw up to that point in my life. I agree. Well, and that's Ryan Coogler and let's just say Chadwick Boseman. They were both very intensively involved in the development of that story. So you can't separate the two. But they were trying to. I don't even know if they were trying to make a generational movie, but they were definitely trying to make a movie that kind of like if they're going to bring in a black superhero of that magnitude, they were going to do it right. And so, well,
And
I
they
could,
did.
yeah, I could go on and on. But again, every year of this time, we're going to talk about it. Remembering Chadwick Boseman, our king, our Black Panther. You know, he's. I don't. It's hard to understate his impact, and I just in an alternate timeline, he's still out there making Grammy nominated or Grammy winning performances. I wish that was our timeline, but while he was here, we enjoyed his work. So rest in peace, and we'll see y'all here next year to celebrate him again. Oh, it's time for some. Let's on a lighter note. Let's review some things. And also, I'm on a nerd shame, but let's review something. It's the comic shop, the independent.
Not again.
It's the indie comic comedic workplace sitcom that is from Cheyenne Ewolu and Awkward Virgo TV on YouTube. Got its premiere at 2 p.m. Eastern time today. As I said, I was asked to be a part of kind of the live threading. That was a good time. I was splitting my attention between doing a reaction video and doing the live threading. It all worked itself out. With other people like Fantastic Frankie, who she's dope. I love her. I love what she does, especially on the DC Studio Showcase. Also Ernie over at Blurred Without Fear, and there was other people too. So we were doing our thing. I think this is a time. Let me pause for a second and do a little nerd shaming. Okay, it's time. Look. I'm sorry. I have to do it.
I see that.
A little nerd shaming because somebody on here did not do her homework. She came to class without her homework done, and we got to call it out. Ma'am, excuse me. This there's no. Why do you watch this? I told you. I said we were going to be reviewing this.
It was an 8. It was I didn't have the time.
You know what?
Unfortunately, but I am planning on watching it right after the show.
There you go. Well, you know what? I won't even. The thing is, I can't even really spoil this. You saw the trailer. The first episode is basically the trailer. What the trailer pretty much encompasses what it's going to be about. But it's look. I really enjoyed this. I thought. I was already thinking I was going to enjoy it anyway. I love Abbott Elementary. It's one of my favorite shows ever, and definitely that's running right now. The Office. Everyone loves The Office, right? So you know what the format is. Office comedy, workplace comedy. The cameras are like a documentary. So you understand what it's going to be about. So it's all about how the colorful characters, the silly stuff that they get up to, their situations, and they understand the tropes of the genre, and they exploit them in a way that's hilarious. Like, for any given comedy, if I'm not belly laughing, it's not winning, right? Because you have 20 minutes to pretty much get in there. Bam, this is a pilot. Bam, here's the characters. Here's their spots that they fill within the comedy. So you know where the places they're going to fill within the jokes, setting up the jokes, so forth, and then lay out some plot threads to go through the rest of the season so that we can kind of follow through. But it's really, the characters have to punch. They got to be like very specific. You got to understand them immediately, and then joke, 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 joke. And they knew what they were doing. I don't know who's writing on this. I got to look up the writers. I'm assuming Cheyenne is one of the writers, as you know, the creator of the show, and they are punching. They are punchy, hilarious. More importantly, if you are a comic book nerd, you understand everything that's happening. Like going to the comic book shop, comic book writers, because this takes place on Free Comic Book Day. So if you've been to comic shops on Free Comic Book Day, you know what this is. The small creators showing up to sign and everything like that. Comic book fans being weirdos, all that stuff. But they also add in a little bit, because this is a workplace drama. They're an independent comic shop, so now they have to have friction with their landlord because this is not a business that makes money well, right? So there's a landlord situation going on. We got kind of the ops in the form of Kiki, who is she is a writer for a comic book blog or something like that. She styles herself as a journalist for like nerd stuff, but also she has a little bit of personal history with Stephanie, who is played by Cheyenne, who is the owner proprietor of the shop. So she's the op, right? So there's that fun stuff. You have Connor, who is the token white guy, and there's a funny joke related to the fact that he's a token white guy, and it's really, really funny. I said on Threads, he's kind of like, what if Everett Ross in Black Panther, but actually useful to the plot. There's also so you have Dominique, who she's the hot girl in the situation. She's really funny, and there's a really funny joke, and that was pointed out to me on Threads, that there's a funny Sinners reference in there, and I was like, I when I saw it, I was like, yes, of course. Keith, he's the co-owner, co-operator on there. He's really funny as a bit of a straight man, but also he's doing silly. They're like, basically, what I'm trying to say is the first episode's hilarious. I loved it. They play on the tropes in just the right way. It's not tired. It's not. But if you are an insider, if you're a nerd like us, comic nerd, you are going to understand all of these characters. But even if you're not, you get it. You're there for the hijinks and the foolishness, and there's plenty of that. There's setups for plenty of that. I can't wait for the next episode. I thought this was great. Let me see what if anybody had anything to say in the chat. Joe peaced out. That's cool. Thanks, Joe, for showing up. Claude says he said, I lucked out with proximity. So Willow Wilson was at one of the Free Comic Book Days I went to. That does happen sometimes, that you'll meet for real, like a name,
like one of the big ones.
Yeah, a name. Like now, mind you, by the way, G. Willow Wilson, if y'all don't know, I think she's great. She is a co-creator of Miss Marvel. She also, one of the first things I noticed she was on was this comic book called Air. This was probably 20 years ago.
I've read that.
Air was really good. But she's done a lot of really cool stuff. But so, like I said, y'all check this out. It's free to watch. Here's the deal. You don't even have to sign up for anything. It's on YouTube. This was crowdfunded through Kickstarter fully funded. It's free to watch. So you go check it out. You lose nothing to go see if it's your cup of tea on it's Awkward Virgo TV on YouTube. I think because of the way it's structured, they will eventually put this on something like Tubi or any of the free streamers. They could potentially be, it could show up on Prime Video if they can get the licensing for it.
Yeah.
I think, but so they're obviously there's a way to monetize that, and I think they're going to work on a second season. I think this works, and they have some people like Kevin Smith has said, he'd be happy to come on. Patton Oswalt. I really want to see that. And in this first episode, there are some. I want to say celebrities. That's not quite right, but there are some. If you are in the nerd space, there are some people whose faces you may recognize. Mark Ellis. Christina Ariel are in it, and I understand some other people like Carrie Payton and Rahul Kohli are going to be in later episodes. I'm really excited for this. Anyway, if you know some nerds who have not watched this, I'm not going to say any names, but if you know some nerds who haven't seen this, you let them know they're missing out and they need to go check it out. So shout out to them over at Awkward Virgo TV. Good job. Really appreciate it. So that means that our last thing we're going to talk about today is Peacemaker, season 2, episode 2.
What's that?
So I didn't have to
shaming anymore.
I didn't have to nerd shame or bully anybody into watching this because the first episode was really good. And before we get into the review, I do want to note that apparently season 2, episode 1 is doing numbers. My understanding is doing numbers. I know people were shouting it out on Threads a lot. There's a lot of chatter around this on Threads from all corners of the internet. It's got the Rotten Tomatoes is dope. Like it's doing really, really good. And so basically DC is kind of on a run right now.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's on a run right now. James Gunn's he knew what he had. Because the first season was so well received. And I believe also watch time on first season is up too. But that came in after Superman really hit. So lots of people are checking out, DC stuff right now. I think that's awesome. Again, if you got kids that like DC stuff, do not let them watch this show. Just don't do it. Don't do it. You put the parental things on your stream on HBO Max, and do not let them watch this. But everyone else that's above 16, I think if you're 16 and you got to have some sense about yourself. You know whether or not you can handle this shit. But anybody that's not damn near basically grown, don't let them watch this. But if they are grown, you check this shit out. So season 2, episode 2. I won't bury the lead. I thought it was great. But it's also...
It really was.
It's great in that there's a balance of it's a lot of character work. And I'm not mad about that because that's the reason why this show is any good is that the characters are fucking amazing. A lot of character work. There's a great action sequence that was very unexpected, but also was really funny. And we get introduced to a new character in the form of Agent Fleury, played by Tim Meadows, very very well. And James Gunn said this was, he kind of fills the place of Peacemaker's kind of like crass sort of a dick, the way he was acting in the first season, he sort of fills that spot, and he's really funny at it. But beyond that, we're moving forward, like the growth or the regression maybe of some of the characters. Harcourt, I realize now, let me know if I'm wrong about this. This season really is part of it. Is really, can Harcourt get her shit together? right?
Mm.
Because Chris seems to
Yeah,
be
that's right.
he seems to be getting his shit together, and
Well, more or less.
yeah, but no reward at all for, like, a lot of this is he improved and getting no reward for it at all. Uh, and it's all because Harcourt is just grappling with her personal demons. Um, Adebayo gets a lot more, time in this one. We get more vigilante. I was saying we didn't get enough vigilante last episode. We got more of that. More kind of like the 11th Street kids are back together. Beautiful. I love it. I have more to say, but like, how do you feel about this episode?
Well, it was pretty great, and obviously, yeah, everything that you mentioned is what happened there. But to me, I was like really interested in it. It spent a lot of time in the beginning, like not a lot of time, but some time in the beginning with Rick Flag and
Mm-hmm.
his like the way he found out about Peacemaker murdering his son, and then setting up the whole surveillance thing. But to me, I was like really wanted to find out what's gonna happen with that parallel universe, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, I knew that he's gonna go eventually and like start spending time there more and more and more. And now we know why, of course. But there was like this sequence where they chopped up the other Peacemaker, and that's exactly where you mentioned you saw more of Vigilante because he showed up to help with that. That was such a ridiculous scene. It was disgusting, but it was ridiculous. Mm. And yeah, like Vigilante with his happy face, absolute bliss on his face, cleaning up blood and chopping up the body. That's hilarious. All while like still people, participants of the orgy from the
Yeah.
night before are hanging out, like packing their stuff. Yeah, that's
Oh, shout out to Freddie Stroma. What a great, like, and I kind of looked up like who was originally the vigilante before Freddie Stroma. I think they played him a lot older, and I'm glad that they went with. He's so good, like like this, and this is, I don't even. It's so hard to call out who's doing the best in this season. I mean, I think I can say who I think is, to me, not bringing it as well as everybody else, and you may or may not agree with me.
cool.
Frank Grillo. I think he's alright. I think he's that great. He's alright, and so, but we've barely seen him. He's all right. Um, Everybody else is on point. Like for real. I love seeing Vigilante and in his element. He's a bit of a look. He's a psychopath. He is. He knows he's a psychopath, so he's trying to sort of like figure out. Like, he's got his friends, and he's trying to fit in with them. Like, he's a bit attention seeking and whatever, but he really just wants to hang out, right? He wants to hang out with Economos. He wants to hang out with Peacemaker. Um, Claude says Vigilante's Demi Ace representation could be really interesting. Yeah, he even has that moment where he's just like, I don't really like sex just for sex. It's really to get to bond with my best friend. And I'm just
Way
like,
to spend time.
and I look, I could not love him more than in that moment, because his whole thing is, I just want to make a connection with you guys, and he has a hard time doing it. So he's trying to figure out how to make the connection. And the truth is, the 11th Street kids really do love him, and he's just weird, and so they are trying to connect with him in the ways that that will help make sense for him, make him feel connected. That's why Economos humors him with that owl shit in the first episode. He humors him even though he knows he's being a weirdo. And Chris is trying to also. And so when he was hurt, he's like, "Why didn't you invite me to the orgy?" He was like, "Because I was basically trying to self-soothe, and I was like, I wasn't trying to bring you in to be a part of my basically abusing my body to make me feel better. And he doesn't. He's just like, I just want to be included, man. Come on. There's a funny thing on the Peacemaker podcast where James is like, do they have sex with each other when they do a threesome? Are they? I'm like, James Gunn, you're asking too many damn questions. Why? This is not. It's not relevant. It's not necessary. The point is that they're doing things together because they're friends.
Yeah.
There's some.
He wrote it. He should know better than I.
Yeah, there's a. I think Claude also says I want to learn more about Sasha Bordeaux. I do too, but at the risk of just being like a dirty old man, I think Sol Rodriguez. She's beautiful, and I love her interactions so far with Frank Grillo's. Was Rick Flag scene. It's clear that something's going to happen between them, like pretty much. But I think she's, she's just
okay. That was not clear for me.
Well, I
did not notice that at all.
Well, they've kind of hinted at it on the podcast that there's something happening right there. I think she's just, she might have been she almost was the engineer also in Superman. So I'm glad that she's got a part. Well, we'll see. I just, without, I guess we could do spoilers. Like I said, I think the episode's great. This is chugging along. They keep, like, the plot is rolling itself out, and it's clear where it's going. Like, it's pretty clear from the, last episode where this is headed. And I'm not mad about knowing where this train is going. I like that destination. I want to get there. I'm seated. I bought my ticket. I'm seated. I'm ready to go. I just want to see the scenery as we get there. So spoiler wise, I think as much as I love Cena and what he's doing, I really like. I'm not saying he's not doing great. I think he's carrying the show. But y'all don't sleep on Jennifer Holland. So James Gunn was like, babe, I got you. I'm going to write really good shit for you. I'm going to give you everything you need to choose scenery. And God dang it. Like, because to me, Peacemaker's, his character journey right now, I understand what's going on, right? He's disillusioned with doing the right thing and still getting shit on, right? Harcourt is not doing, she is an immovable wall. He wants to make something happen with her. He is doing everything to be present, to be sensitive, to try to help meet her needs. And she throws it in his face like, you just want a broken bird that you can nurse back to health. That's not true, right? But she says, you want me to be as fucked up as you so we can be together. And that's her projecting her shit onto him, and that's not true. And it basically drives him to drink or to abuse, or in this case, and there's a really cool little bit of imagery to show what's happening. To reach for self-soothing, in this case, to reach for that phone and to go to the other dimension. It was right next to his bong, his stash. Those are his vices, and he reaches for that one. And he's going to self-harm, essentially, to get away from the pain of being rejected by Harcourt. He's trying so hard to be what she needs or wants or whatever. And she is in her cycle of like just pushing people away and tearing down her world because of how
self-destruction.
Yeah, because of how the world is kind of like hurting her right now. It's James Gunn described it as Peacemaker is going up in his character journey and she's going down, and they're meeting in the middle, and that's where all this conflict is. I think her character arc is fascinating, and she's doing such a great job of embodying it. I have a little bit more. I've been dominating the conversation. Sorry. I just want I'll let me step aside.
I really want to know where it's gonna And that because there are so many ways that this could go, and like so many ways to write her character out
Mhm.
of this situation or like deeper into this situation. So I don't know.
It's deeper. We're on episode 2. It's deeper.
Well, yeah, for now, but eventually out. But I'm just excited to see where it's gonna go. And yeah, I can't state enough how much I want like a whole episode in that other reality. And I think we're
Hmm.
gonna get that.
I think
Probably the
so.
next episode is gonna be that. So I'm waiting for that.
Exactly.
So fascinating.
I did want, and Claude says Harcourt in the grocery store was great. You could see she felt bad after she went off at the lady, but they didn't need to over explain it. It's true. I was actually gonna point out that that scene as like that's to me that's the standout scene of the episode. There's a lot of really good scenes in it. That's a standout scene. Uh, Next to Eagly's ridiculous
Oh yeah.
fight scene. Well, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I just want to say that scene with the woman being like, "Are you okay? I have resources. Let me help you."
Hmm.
That is so deep that I had to pause. I had to watch. I was on the show. I paused and I was like, "Shit, James Gunn is in his bag right now." Because Harcourt is both the abuser and the victim in that scenario. Notice that she has all of the hallmark traits of a battered spouse, right? And she's doing all of the things that a battered spouse does. She's embarrassed. She got to cover it up. She's got the glasses on. She's putting makeup on. She doesn't want people to see what she's going through, right? But she can't get out of the relationship. Well, in this case, the relationship is with herself. This all goes back to the whole toxic masculinity thing that the guy was talking about. She went looking for a fight. In a sense, she picked a fight that where she could get hurt. Like she's abusing herself. So she's both the. That's why when the woman's like, we deny that, that it's happening and all this. It's true. She's denying that it's happening. We see later on when she's talking to Chris, she's denying that she has a problem, right? So she is in the situation of being both the batterer, where she's denying that she has a problem that, or whatever, but also as the victim of the domestic violence, where she's denying that it's happening or that the reasons it's happening are there. It's fucking brilliant. That's like I had to just stop and be like, this is levels. To the point where, she even lashed out and like, I don't have a problem, I don't need help and all this other stuff. And even she makes that funny joke about Beaker, but she's pushing everyone away in the way that someone who is in that situation might also, so that she doesn't have to confront the depth of her problems and to seek help or to seek a way out. I love that.
Yeah, that's really very well done.
Yeah, it's like I said, levels. Like you can break down a lot of what's going on in this show. To me, this is a indication that James Gunn, how thoughtful a writer and like how deep into it he's thinking. And I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to say that James Gunn liked 2 of my posts. So, I'm just saying, y'all. I'm internet famous for a second.
Finally, now you're gonna forget us all, like forget our names and deal.
No, it was I just a brilliantly written scene. There's a lot of brilliantly written scenes within this. Also, last thing, Eagly, I did not realize you were on that level. No wonder everybody's scared of your ass. He's a menace. My God, Eagly is a menace, and I was there for it.
That is not a surprise.
Eagly was. Look,
I expected no less from him. He's also ridiculous.
It's crazy. Also, we can't talk about this scene. We can't talk about this scene without saying Agent Fleury, he's such a weirdo, kind of a dick. He was so weird with Economos. Am I wrong? Like he was massaging. I was like, if you don't get your fucking hands off of my shoulder, he was such a weirdo. He calls him Ginger Cool and everything, but he's like weirdly intense at times. And then he was talking about that bird blindness shit, and I was like, are you fucking
Yeah.
with me? No, he's actually bird blind. It's so. Because and I should have seen that as a setup for Eagly beating the shit out of the little infiltration team. Um, that's whole scene set up by Flurry going in there and he's calling them weird names, and they go in there and proceed to get the shit kicked out of them by Eagly. It's hilarious. I mean, he pecks a guy's eye out. Like Eagly is all like y'all when they say
I mean,
they
he has a beak. I don't know what people expected. Like, eagles are not nice birds.
they it's just wild to me because they have guns and they can't shoot him for shit. They can't hit him with a shotgun. He is fucking them up, like damn near killing some of them. Uh, and it is so crazy to me
I was
that
actually
that's true.
surprised, but I don't know if anybody got killed in that scene, but I was surprised
I
that.
don't think he killed, but he definitely maimed.
Well, yeah.
The one
Like,
the one
permanently.
yeah the one they call Titties. She's she definitely was severely hurt. I like I said I didn't look Eagly. My bad. I didn't recognize your game, dog. I did not realize you were about that life. They call you.
You
Ever,
underestimated
yeah,
him.
he said standing 10 toes down. You're gonna have to say 6 claws and a beak or some because he was about that life. Like I'm like, man, no one like now I know if Peacemaker's like Eagly, I need backup. He's gonna come in like Red Wing. You remember, like Red Wing from Marvel Comics? He's gonna come in and fuck some shit up. Like that's my dog though. Can you people are talking about we need to see Crypto and Eagly, and I'm like, yeah, the super pets.
Oh.
If you get the super pets with them, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Last
Nobody's
thing.
winning that fight.
Claude says Chris fishing for Harcourt on the roof was really endearing. Yes, and this really tells us why he can't get the Harcourt he wants, so he's gonna get the Harcourt, his ideal Harcourt, I guess, the one he doesn't really know, but that is gonna be.
That's the thing, I'm pretty sure that judging from what we've seen so far of her, I think that she's not gonna be the ideal version, though.
He thinks, yeah.
Of course, she's gonna be like,
It's the one he thinks he thinks he knows her. He thinks he wants her. He sees all these pictures, and it's kind of like, remember when he was going through the phone? It's kind of like when people see people on Instagram or whatever, and how their great ideal life, and he's like, I wish I had that life. And now he has an opportunity to live it, and as always, it's not everything that glitters, right? Not gold. And we're gonna see that. This is why also I said Jennifer Holland, she's gonna be doing as much heavy lifting as, because she has to play.
Going to be a very different character.
She has to play two different people. Like, this is not because the Harcourt he loves, or he thinks he loves, or whatever, that he's falling in love with, that's not who this woman is, and we're gonna see that, I think. Claude says his theory is that the Jarhead, she's with the other words, Rick Flag Jr. I probably so, because I think Joel Kinnaman is gonna cameo in this show. So it'll be very interesting to see all of that. Also, I hope that this is a weird world where, White Dragon is still a racist. This is just a world where the Confederacy won or some shit like that. It'll be very interesting because we've only ever seen just this library, this house, and the other two people. We haven't seen what the world's actually like. If they're heroes, either
and they all talk about like how they remembered some kind of good old days and stuff like that, but we haven't seen anything or anyone else outside of their family.
Yeah,
and it kind of like gives this vibe that he's still a white supremacist, and it's just that his kids are following in his footsteps,
Yeah.
probably. So he's not gonna like I'm pretty sure this world is gonna shock him. That's why I can't wait for us to actually see more of it.
Yeah. I mean, it could very well that this is a man in the high castle situation, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, he's gonna, he's used to our world now. He's like, what the fuck is going on? But also, and this will be an interesting bit of commentary. I wonder how deep in his bag James Gunn really will go, because if he does play it that way, Chris is a straight presenting white male, right? With of immense privilege, because apparently they're well off and he's a hero. How much does he care about his friendships and everything like that, or his change of heart, the way he's changed? How much does he care about it when presented with the temptation of being in a world where he very much is at the top of the food chain? He's getting everything he wants. He's well respected. He's well off. He's got the girl, right? But this is a world that's terrible. That's actually terrible once you really look at it.
I'm pretty sure that's gonna be like the next step in his character growth.
Yeah. If that's where James Gunn is taking it, we in for it. We are definitely in for it. If anybody can navigate those waters, I'll trust James Gunn to do it. So I love it. Love this episode. Can't wait for next episode. So, all that being said, that's everything. I guess this for a small news week. We sure did talk a lot about for a long time, but it's all good. We enjoyed it. Thanks for everybody who showed up in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, for showing up and giving us your comments. And as usual, thank everybody for if you're watching this after the fact, for getting down to the comment section and letting us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to troll us, if you want to say something nice, if you got theories, all that other stuff, we'd love to hear from you. And of course, you can always get on there, hit us up. It's supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com, blurred_force1 on Instagram and Threads, and super_not_funny show on TikTok. And I wish this thing would go back. Okay, there we go. And of course, I can't do this by myself. I needed my good friend Polly to take time away from trying to turn her Herbie toy into an actual robot, and to come and talk about this superhero stuff. Really appreciate it for you coming in. Where can I reach you on social media?
As always, it's car_mixed on Threads, on Tumblr, and on Instagram.
Yep. Yeah, go check her out and show some love. Subscribe, all that stuff. Leave some comments.
you can nerd shame me a little.
I mean, I usually do that, but if you guys want to join in,
Bring out the pitchforks and the torches, do the whole thing. Let's make an event out of it.
No,
it's a shame party.
If y'all really want to shame her, this is how you do it. Just be like, Reed Richards would have watched that by now.
That's actually a bad reason.
How about this?
Tell me that Doom would have watched it.
All right. Well, Doom would have watched it, but Reed Richards, would have, he would have. Yeah, he would have. I would say Reed Richards. Maybe he wouldn't have approved it, but he wouldn't have taken as long to watch this. You all want to be better than Reed Richards, not worse. Anyway, thanks for it. This is episode 195 of the Supercast. Thanks for joining us. Come back next week. We're going to be talking about Peacemaker episode 3 and the Comic Shop episode 2. So until then, I've been Mo, your comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by my good friend Polly, and we'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.